Well, hello everyone, and it's so lovely to see where you're all joining us from today. A big warm welcome, and we are so excited to have you here with us to join the Get Ready for Back to School with Canva webinar. Today, we hope that you leave this webinar with lots of inspiration and ideas about bringing learning to life this school year using Canva. And in the spirit of reconciliation, Canva acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Now, if you don't already have a Canva for Education account, don't worry. We're going to share the link with you in the chat right now, or you can scan the QR code that is on the screen and you can begin your verification process right after this webinar. Today's hour-long webinar will be showing you lots of different ways to use Canva, but you don't need your login right now, so there's no need to worry. Now to introduce myself, my name's Charlotte, and it's so nice to see you all here today, especially in your last week of the school holidays, or maybe for your first professional development week. My background is a primary school teacher myself, and I taught in both New South Wales and Western Australia, and now I'm a design educator here at Canva, which means I get to teach and inspire teachers and students on how to use Canva each day. I'm really excited to lead you today alongside two amazing Canvassadors who are going to introduce themselves now. Over to you, Jo.
Thanks so much for the introduction, Charlotte. It's so nice to see you all. I'm from Canva and I'm a school teacher as well. I'm a Canva creator and a Canvassador. I've taught in primary school settings across 3 states for the past 18 years, and I'm currently the e-learning coordinator at my school. I'm really lucky to be in this role and be able to facilitate teaching and learning through the use of Canva in the classroom as both a teacher and student tool, as well as a means of sharing and assessing work. One of the best things that you'll find about the templates that you find on Canva are that they have been created by teachers for teachers. This means that they are evidence-based and curriculum aligned. As one of the 4 original Canva for Creation creators, I've contributed close to 6,000 templates in the library, all of which are free for teachers and student access and customization. Hand on heart, I can honestly say that Canva has revolutionized my teaching practice. I'm incredibly passionate about Canva and love the ease of creating customized templates for my students. I'm super excited to show you how I've used Canva in my classroom. Over to you, Bronnie.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bron. I'm a primary school teacher from Sydney, Australia. I've been in and out of the teaching industry for around 17 years, and I just recently completed my honours in psychology. And prior to being a teacher, I was a broadcast journalist. So I'm also a Canva for Education creator, and I'm a Canvassador in the teacher community. And I have more than 4,000 free templates and resources designed for teachers like yourselves for you to download after today's webinar.
And we are also joined today by some of the awesome Canva for Education team, Belle, Joyce, Megan and Millie, who will be answering all your questions in the Zoom chat and be sharing some links with you throughout the session. Today we have a jam-packed agenda and we'll be covering the following topics. What is Canva for Education? Engaging students with Canva, getting ready for the school year and building students' digital literacy. Now, before we start, I really want to know how familiar are you with using Canva? So pop into the chat, whether you're a 1 or a 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 being not familiar at all, you're a completely new user, so this is going to be very exciting for you, or 5 where you're using it daily with your students. Well, that's going quickly. Okay, we've got a range. We've got some 1s, 2s in the middle. Okay, we've got a bit of everything. Thanks, everyone. All right, so I'm going to start by doing an overview of what Canva for Education is. Canva for Education is a really powerful visual communication and learning platform that teachers can use to deliver the entire learning experience and foster creativity and digital literacy among students. And with Canva, you can create and do anything with our visual suite. So you've got docs, whiteboards, presentations, videos, print products, and even websites. The opportunities are endless. And you're probably wondering, Canva for Education, is it really free? Because that just sounds too good to be true. Well, it is true. It's part of Canva's larger mission and values to be a force for good. And we're on a mission to empower everyone to collaborate and communicate in the classroom and also beyond. So it's 100% free for all K-12 teachers, students, schools, and for entire districts, including all of the staff in the district. And we've just shared the link again with you in the chat if you'd like to sign up. Now, another question that we seem to get a lot is, how is Canva for Education actually different to the free version of Canva? Well, with Canva for Education, you can access our template library, which has over 400,000 templates, which is always growing. You've also got 1,000 plus engaging teaching resources, and now we've also introduced 100 plus ready to teach curricula aligned lessons. And these are all designed to be visually engaging. And as Bron said, they're made by teachers for teachers. There are also over 100 million elements in the library. So that means there's photos, there's graphics, videos, audio, and these are all built within Canva. So you don't have to leave the Canva editor when you're creating your resources, and neither do students. And it really allows them to express themselves and bring their imagination to life. Also, with Canva for Education, you now get access to our Magic Studio, which is our collection of AI-powered features that are available across the Visual Suite. And we'll explore them a little deeper today in the webinar. It's also important to note that with Canva for Education, students and teachers may have slightly different access depending on how your school decides to set up these features as well. And finally, but not least, Canva connects to your everyday classroom tools as well, like the examples you can see here on the screen. So for this webinar today, we're going to explore a back to school toolkit, and we're going to break it apart for you. It's packed with lots of resources to get you and your students hyped for the new school year. So now we've done all the background information, let's have a look at part 1, which is engaging students with Canva. So part 1 is all about how Canva's new AI features and education resources can help you create some inspiring content for students this school year. And at Canva, we love visuals, so we're going to watch this video together, which introduces all of our brand new education releases. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what you just saw glimpses of in that video. So first up, in this first image, you can see that we have now created some ready-to-teach curricular lessons. So you're probably aware that Canva has a huge range of templates that make your life easier, but we placed a lot of focus this last year on developing some new ready-to-teach lessons. This includes the whole lesson flow for a range of different subjects. So now you can actually group together activities in Canva, and you can sequence them to form lessons for students to actually work through, which is really exciting. In the middle image, you can see that we have a range of new teaching resources. And now you can actually filter and sort in the education library by grade, subject, and also resource type. And then here in the last image, you can see that we've developed some real-world courses. Now, we've worked with a range of different stakeholders to write these, and they focus on skills like critical thinking and financial literacy. And when you get your own back-to-school toolkit, you'll be able to have this page here, and you can click and go straight to these templates to start exploring. Now, I'm curious, when you use Canva, do you start with a blank design, so completely from scratch, or do you start with a template and then customize it? I'm also curious to know, lots of templates, if you use Canva for a certain subject more often. So are you always drawn to using it for science, or is it English? There's lots of both. There's some people new to Canva. Interesting. I always used to start from blank, so it's good to see that lots of people like templates. And then in the video before, we also saw a couple of Magic Studio features, and there is actually so many more. And these will help you bring your resources to life. They'll help you save time and they'll engage students. So in this next video, which is also very boppy, you might be dancing along to, I'd like to introduce you to Magic Studio. Now your brain is probably spinning with seeing all of that and also thinking of lots of new ideas and going, oh, how can I actually use these AI features in my classroom? Well, no need to worry, because the next page in your toolkit, we have taken the time to think of a specific idea that you could use for each feature. So we have ideas for creating lessons using Magic Write. We've got transforming a presentation into a catchy song with Magic Switch. You could even, and I had to play it actually doing this one, turn your handwritten anchor charts into digital versions using Magic Grab. And there's so many more ideas. Now, if this is feeling a little bit overwhelming, don't worry, because each one of these boxes you see on the screen here actually takes you to a teacher guide, which will explain that specific AI feature that you can explore in detail after the webinar. So let's have a little look at what they actually look like. And we're going to look at the Magic Media Guide. So in these guides, there is an example on the left, which is a little video, and it shows you where to find the feature and how to use it. Then on the right-hand side, if you prefer learning from written, there's the written steps. And we've also included something that's really important, they're prompt tips. So lots of these AI features are actually guided by your own prompts. So we've given you some tips to really get the best out of that feature. For example, providing specific details or adding in an emotion or a mood. On the second page of the guides, we have lots of different ways you can use that feature. So here we've got all different examples for how you'd actually use Magic Media, either yourself in your classroom or maybe your students. So you can see there's ones for art, one for maths, one for creating characters. The one in the bottom right is all about actually turning a vocabulary word list into like a find a picture kind of thing. So there's one of these guides for every single feature in your toolkit. Now let's have a little look at how Magic Media might work. So here on the screen, I have got a presentation that I want to use with my students for a writing lesson. And I want them to really get their imagination flowing. So I want to create an image that will really help them do that. So I've got my slide ready, I've got my frame, and I'm going to come over to apps in the sidebar, and I'm going to search Magic Media because it actually is an app. I'm going to open it up, And I'll see that there is a space here for a prompt. So I want to write a descriptive prompt to help them really visualize their writing. So a magical world filled with candy cane trees, some fairy floss, pink sky, and a flowing river. And hopefully I get an image that is created just for me. So once you put in your prompt, you can come over and you can select a certain style if that's what you want, or you can actually select none. And what Magic Media will do is it will generate the best style that suits your prompt. So you let it work its magic. The more detailed your prompt is, the longer it will take, but still it's really no time at all. It will give you 4 different options which you can choose from. So let's have a look at what it's generated. Oh, these are pretty cool. Definitely something I couldn't Google, so that's good. I like this bottom left one. So all you do is you simply click, goes into your design, and I'm going to drag it and snap it straight into that frame. And now I've got a beautiful writing prompt for my students to use. There's also a button here saying generate again. So if you get results and you're going, that's not what I wanted, click that again and it will have another go for you. So look at that. Now we've got a visual writing prompt ready for our students. Now, this might be putting you on the spot, but how might you actually use Magic Media in your classroom? I'm thinking it could be cool for like a back to school activity where they've maybe got to create an avatar that they might put on their desk or their tub or their locker. Now that completes part 1, and I'm going to hand you over to the lovely Jo, who's going to talk about how you can actually use Canva to get ready for the school year, and she's going to give you so much inspiration, so make sure you're ready to hear it all. Over to you, Jo.
Hi guys, thanks for all that incredible information. I have used Magic Media a lot with my students and they thoroughly enjoy it as well. They end up learning a lot more than we do and being able to teach us in the classroom, which is always a good thing. Okay, so this section is all about how you can use Canva to plan, build and support a classroom environment and create interactive activities that your students will love. I'm going to talk through some samples provided in our back to school toolkit and then give you some real life examples of how I've used them in my own classrooms. Here are 5 ways that you can use Canva for your planning. The toolkit gives you links that you can open and use, so make sure that you have saved this link for later on. You can explore these ideas to get organized and plan activities to inspire your students. Some of your planning templates within your toolkit include a visual class schedule, so I can see that a lot of people have written about that in the chat. Collaborative brainstorms where the whole class can get in on the one document and work together, creating mind maps, writing lesson plans and scopes and sequences, and using class syllabus presentations. Let's have a look at how we can use some of the many templates available in the Canva for Education template library. Canva educational templates are created by teacher creators from all around the world. They are curated based on their professional experience and knowledge of their various curriculums. Some of these planning templates include teacher planners, grade books, wow wall placeholders, welcome packs, decor packs, and inquiry walls. So for those in Australia who are heading back to school, get on Canva, have a look at what's on there, and you're going to fall down a deep rabbit hole. One of my favorites of these templates are the completely customizable teacher planners in a variety of themes, such as this one with its colorful abstract vibes. You can download one of these and customize it to have the correct amount of periods per day that you might have, your school terms, your weeks, your SMART goals, as well as student information. Here are some real world examples. So these photographs right here that you can see of how I have used Canva for Education in my own classroom. With such an abundance of themes, styles, and content, you'll soon find yourself falling down a deep hole of templates to choose from. And best of all, they're completely free for teachers now and forever. One of the most beautiful integrations Canva has is its ability to be integrated into a variety of learning management systems, including Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom. Here's how I use Canva within our school's LMS Toddle. So we have a new system at our school called Toddle, which we have been using a lot of Canva to help build and market our LMS with a clean and consistent look. This is excellent for both our staff, students, and families. If you have a look at these images here, you can see that we have used banners from Canva in the top left-hand side for each of our different subject areas. On the right, you can see how we have embedded interactive activities using worksheets found on Canva. Down below, there's a couple of videos. The Learning Experiences video just demonstrates how we've embedded posters, flashcards, and worksheets into a learning sequence to make the experience more visual and interactive for our young users. And in the final little video there, you can see how I have embedded flashcards and a worksheet into an interactive workbook and toddle for students to demonstrate their knowledge and understanding for assessment and consolidation purposes. This helps to save the environment because you're working digitally as well. All right, next up, we can see how it is important to establish our relationships with students and create a sense of community within the classroom in the first couple of weeks back to school. Here are a couple of ways that you can use the Canva toolkit to help get to know your students. We have About Me posters, presentations, student introductory videos and teacher introductory videos, informative infographics, and interactive storybooks. These templates are examples of how teachers and students can better know each other through Canva. Canva for Education provides everything from student labels, name stickers, and milestone posters to getting to know you worksheets and icebreaker activities. At the beginning of the school year, it's such an important time for the classroom to build a sense of community and to develop relationships with each other and their teachers. Here are 5 ways that you can do this using Canva. We have Canva explainer videos, back to school bingo, classroom rules, motivational posters and signage, and class stickers. Here are some examples of how I've used Canva templates with my students. Presentations are actually the Canva term for slideshows, and there are a variety of these that can be customized to make class expectation packs. These can be made in joint collaboration with your students to help develop a sense of ownership and classroom cohesion building. In the bottom right-hand corner, I have given an example of a group work presentation. This is a template link that can be shared with your students, and they can work collaboratively to develop a class expectation agreement, which can then be printed and displayed for reference throughout the year. Here's some photographs of some of the different displays that I have used with some Canva templates. Each morning in my kindergarten class, we would say positive affirmations to help build student efficacy. Using Canva, I would customize these based on students' language and their themed interests. In my current school, we're super lucky to have an incredible 360-degree immersive room where I have enjoyed using Canva to create unique content for lessons, mindful and meditation activities. I also love customizing stickers to incorporate my name and use language applicable to my school setting, such as Mrs. M thinks you're flourishing. These can be printed off directly through the Canva website, but a really good teacher hack is to use the Avery template maker and print directly onto your sticker labels for your students. All right, so let's hear from you for a minute. How do you use Canva to help develop your classroom community? Social media, excellent. One thing that we didn't touch on today, but it is excellent to be able to communicate on your socials. Brilliant. Newsletters are always a good one. Back to school newsletters, meet the teacher newsletters, weekly newsletters for your class. Awesome. All right. Communication with your peers, students, and families, as well as the wider school community, is made much easier with Canva for Education. Let's check out how we can use the toolkit to find communication templates on Canva. We can use the Canva toolkit here to build a class hub, create classroom newsletters and announcements, signage and posters for school events, as well as encouragement cards and awards. Here are some examples of communication templates that you can find on Canva. They include group work, posters, and my favorite, newsletters. I would edit these each week and send them out in a weekly email to parents, letting them know about all the fun and learning that we had done throughout the week. If you have a look here on the right-hand side where you can see the little animated arrow, one of my favorite teacher hacks on Canva is the use of frames. So I've used this a lot when I'm using and writing my newsletters. It allows you to take an image of a student or a school activity and drop it into a specifically shaped frame. You can find these on the Elements tab down the left-hand side. All right, here's another teacher hack that I really would like you guys to screenshot for later. These are some of the more friendly Canva student fonts that we have. Of course, you can always add your own. If your school is run by an admin, they will often have to add to your toolkit, your branding kit, your own fonts that you may have. But if you just take a screenshot of these are some of the different fonts that we have available for Canva that are very student friendly. Some of my other teacher hacks are the tidy up tool to arrange everything really neatly on your page. You can bulk create, so you can upload your Excel spreadsheet full of your students' names and it will add it directly straight into your template. We have ease of sharing amongst students and peers and the use of frames, which I mentioned before.
Thank you, Jo, for doing such a great part in giving us lots of real life classroom examples. Hopefully everyone got some good ideas and they're ready to have a go themselves. And now we'll pass you over to Bron, who is going to complete the next part of our webinar.
Thanks so much, guys. In this last section of the webinar, it's all about exploring how we can use Canva and its educational resources to help students develop their digital literacy skills and feel empowered. So in my day-to-day job as a teacher, I actually teach mainly the lower grades, so they're not always using Canva. However, I also run a lunchtime enrichment program called Canva Club, where I teach students from grades 3 to 6 all the latest digital skills using Canva, and it is extremely popular. So today I'll be sharing some of those practical activities that I've done as part of Canva Club. And just as a side note, in my examples that I show you, I have actually either replaced their faces with stock images or covered them up just for privacy reasons. So moving on, first question I'd like you to have a little think about is we'd love to hear which templates your students use most in the classroom when it comes to Canva. Are they using the worksheets, or are they using Canva for presentations? What are those templates that your students are using Canva for most? The best part is by embedding Canva into your everyday teaching routine, you're actually ticking off several of the national standards relating to ITC. So feel free to share some of the ways that you've used Canva to achieve those standards too. We can all learn from each other. Lots of posters and presentations. Alrighty, guys, so let's take a look at some ways that you can use Canva in the classroom to ignite student creativity. I'll be touching on a few of Canva's wide range of creative tools and templates that can spark student creativity. It's all about providing a platform where students can freely explore and express their creative potential. So I've got a couple of examples here: education presentations, education infographics, education videos, and storybook. So I'm guessing most of you would be relatively familiar with education presentations, so I'm only going to briefly touch on them. Canva allows us to add notes, use timers and countdowns in our presentations, and there's also a variety of present and record options. And I particularly like the record option because you can actually have your face in the corner, and this was really good for remote learning, so you feel like you do have that sense of connection with the students still, or your students can use that in their presentations also. But being Canva, there's also the animate feature, which you'll see on your screens now, that I've used to animate my verbs in a grammar presentation. So as you know, students are really visual learners, and this is a great way of cementing the concept. So you can see here, I've used the animate feature simply to trace a track for that bird to fly. And again here for the bear to peek. Yeah, so that you can do anything, which is really exciting. And you can actually get your students to create this too, to showcase their understanding of action words. I've also just listed on the right side of the screen a few other creative ways that my students have used Canva presentations. There we go. Alrighty, so infographics. Now, creative ways my students have used infographics. These are a brilliant way for students to summarize their learnings and present their findings on a topic by combining, as the name suggests, both information and relevant graphics. And I will just say as a side note, I used Canva to create my study notes when I was completing my thesis. And just the simple process of searching for a relevant graphic to support my notes and to illustrate that helped to consolidate those concepts for me. So if you have students who are studying for an exam on a particular topic, they can actually summarize all that information and present it in an infographic. And it's a really good way for them to think about, well, what images would represent the text that I have. Now, the storybook template is such an exciting feature and takes student narrative writing to the next level. Like all of Canva's templates, students can collaborate together, or they can create them individually as well. Students can even illustrate their stories themselves through pen and paper and then upload them onto Canva, or they can create digital books and they can share them with their friends and family. Or if they really want to refine their digital literacy skills, they can use magic media to illustrate their stories. The storybook template can be used for creating and sharing social stories, if that's something that really helps your students, communicating school values or expectations, as an end-of-year memoir about your school journey or the year, or about an excursion you've done to the zoo. The list of creative ideas is endless. This is an example of one here that is a social story where students can plan, write, and create their stories. They can use the brainstorming template for collaborating when the planning stage. Then they can use graphic organizers such as storyboards and comic strips to plan their narrative. And then they can actually present it through a storybook and think about appropriate images that represent their narrative. Alrighty, moving on to videos. This is one of my favorite areas. You know, I studied video production 20 years ago at uni, and with advances in technology, I managed to teach my Canva Club students everything I learned across 3 years at uni over one term using Canva video. It's just so easy to trim footage, overlay music, add sound effects, and apply transitions. And there's some pretty cool features in there too, like beat sync. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out. So my students have also used Canva videos to make polished breaking news stories and class narratives. I want to show and share with you a couple of examples of how some of my youngest students, with help from me, of course, create both a short story video adaptation of a well-known book and also a breaking news reel for a staff farewell. So there on the left, we've got
Sugar Glider Shoe by KS. One day on the bank of the Billabong, a very clever quokka called a skinny sugar glider and decided to make Sugar Glider Stew, Sugar Glider Stew.
There we go. So we've also got another one here of a breaking news reel, which I've just replaced the actual images. And the cool thing is that you've got the Canva library filled with these polished newsreel jingles and the sliding graphics and all sorts of stuff. And you can just drop and drag your images in there, which makes it look really professional. But I have to say the feature that my students were most blown away with was the background remover for video. So I'm sure most of you are probably, well, I hope fully aware of the background remover tool just on static graphics. You can also do it for video, and it is a game changer. So as an example of some of the activities that I've done with my students, we would use a green screen and students would film themselves. They would upload the video onto Canva. They would remove the background and then they'd superimpose a video background from the Canva library, making them look like they were actually at those locations. So for example, students were transported back into the past when presenting their learnings on a historical place or event. Students took quick trips to different physical geographies like the North Pole or a jungle to teach their peers about those different environments. So there's a few little things on the screen now that just show some of those examples of how we've been able to do that. The other thing too is that you can use this for drama as well, because if you want your students to mime a particular thought or feeling or action, you can do so. Upload, remove the background, and then actually place that graphic in the background, such as someone being scared because they've just run out of a burning house. And then in the Canva library, search for burning house in their video library, and you can stick that into the background and it makes it look really realistic. Students love that one. Alrighty, so Canva is also a great tool to promote student collaboration because of its sharing and editing features. And here are some of the ways that students can collaborate. You've got group work, brainstorms, presentations, and whiteboards. On your screens, you'll see some real-life examples of how students have used Canva's collaboration feature to foster teamwork and communication amongst themselves, while also saving on the physical post-it notes and butcher's paper. So whiteboards here, for an example, to brainstorm debate topics for and against an idea, or class persuasive writing pieces. It's just a great place to be able to capture all of that, and then you can print it off too later on if needed. On the right-hand side is an example of where we shared a link with students to write their collaborative technology user agreement. And their students all got to digitally sign that and agree on it. And then on the next slide, being the start of the year, this is something really easy that you guys can all implement. So you can collaboratively define your classroom expectations so every student can contribute an idea. And then it's simple to just download, print, and display as a reference for behaviour management throughout the year. And the best part is that as a teacher, you can track student contributions, which is often an issue with group work. through using the collaborative features, you're able to do that. All right, so Canva helps improve students' visual skills in several ways. It provides a platform for students to experiment with different visual elements such as colors and fonts and images and layouts. This hands-on experience can enhance their understanding of visual design principles. Some ways they can demonstrate this is through research posters, and I think a lot of you actually mentioned that in the chat that your students are using Canva for posters, through reports, through graphic organizers and comic strips. So I'm going to touch on some of these. Posters are pretty straightforward if a lot of you are already doing that, but here's some real life examples of how my students have refined their visual skills by designing digital posters. For example, you can see on the screen here that at the start of last year, in those first few days when students are being settled into their new classes or are being held in their classes from last year, for the first couple of days, you can actually have them create posters to explain the school's values and expectations. Again, if you're trying to add graphics to that, it's really great because they're actually thinking about what does respect look like, or what does it mean to be responsible? How can I find an appropriate image to represent that? You can also collaborate with your SRC, promoting school events. And we even used it as to create staff farewell posters, where my Canva Club students actually went around to different students, interviewed them, got a little snapshot of a message they wanted to say to the staff member who was leaving, and took a photo of them and then uploaded that. And we printed them off, plastered the school, and made that teacher feel really blessed. The best thing is we could print these posters off and display them around the school. And with a lot of the ones, we actually put the students' names on it who created it. And the students just felt a great sense of pride seeing their work being admired by others. Okay, so aside from posters, my Canva Club students experimented with creating their own stickers in Canva. And then we used Avery labels. You can see this on the left-hand side of the screen, just to print them off at school, which was really exciting. A project for older students is to create their own AI magic media characters from a written description, which makes them consider their use of adjectives when describing their characters. And then they can then use these characters in storybooks and comic strips, which is something you can see in the middle and the right-hand side of those two images on your screen now. Really thinking about what words am I using to describe my character, and did I produce that through what I have written? Nope, maybe I need to be a little bit more descriptive. Maybe I need to say the old lady had grey hair, or whatever that is. And then you get to create your own story with your own characters, which is pretty cool. Briefly, some more fun ways to use Canva to refine your students' visual skills. This is the Speed Paint app, and it can be used to generate a drawing from a photo for an all about me artwork. This is an example here. We started off with a photo. I put it through the app here, and then here we are coloring it in, but you could do anything. You do watercolors or all sorts of things. So a lot of students have a picture of themselves hung around the classroom. You could just use Canva for it. When it comes to visual art lessons, students can experiment with different styles through the Magic Media feature. So for example, use prompts in the description such as abstract or pop art and so on. So on the screen, you'll see an example here of versions I've created with Pokemon characters using Canva's different style categories. So I've used film, watercolor, pop art, and psychedelic there. And it just generates same concept, but different styles. And there are actually some templates free in the Canva library of activities where your students can actually just go in, and the prompts are written there in those digital templates. All right, so lastly, Canva is perfect for encouraging student reflection, which is such an important part of learning and growth. And you can encourage reflection through exit tickets, through online portfolios, again, saving on that printing, digital notebooks, and explainer videos. Here's just a few ways that we've been using Canva to encourage reflection in the classroom. So daily and yearly reflection worksheets, thought records, and it wouldn't be Canva without being able to add a little techie feature such as using AI to generate pictures to reflect on the year. And most of these templates are actually free in the Canva library for you to download as well. Peers and teachers can provide constructive feedback directly into a digital template using the Add Comment feature. You can see an example of that on the right-hand side of the screen. As we know, reflection is also fantastic for us as teachers, as we get a snapshot of where students are at in their learning. We get to check for their understanding, and that informs our future planning and teaching. And if your school is a visible learning school, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you both, Joe and Bronwyn. That was an epic amount of ideas, which is kind of now making me go, should I be back in the classroom doing some of these things? So I really hope everyone was able to see at least one or two ideas that you want to try with your students in the next month or so. Some of my favorites were the news videos. I loved seeing you creating stickers. Oh, it was so great. And I noticed a couple of comments in the chat saying, I haven't used this with my students before, but I will now. And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve by sharing that. And someone else wrote, can't wait to dive into this in 2024. Now, before you all leave, we have the part of the webinar now where we want to reflect and then also share lots of resources. And you will be able to get the link that you can fill in to get your certificate of attendance. So we would love to hear, and you've been so wonderful in the chat and actually sharing things, which is so rare to see in a webinar. We'd love to know what activity, after listening to Joe and Bronwyn speak, do you want to try with your students this school year? Maybe next week, maybe a month or so in, add them into the chat. I know Speed Paint, I need to give that one a go as well. It's a new one. If you don't know where to find it, remember it's in the app part of Canva. Love it. Collective brainstorms. Yep. See you later, butcher's paper. Oh, so many ideas. And yeah, reflection, setting it up from the beginning of the school year and getting it into students' practice. Love it. See, Bronwyn and Joe, you've obviously inspired everybody here. Now, this part is where we're going to share lots of things in the chat and we'll add them to a follow-up email as well. The toolkit. So every slide you saw today that had things like 5 ways, is all in the toolkit. So are all the AI guides. Everything we spoke about is guided by this toolkit. So save it, share it with all the teachers that you know and bookmark it. It's a really great resource. My lovely teammates and I work in design school and we have dedicated an entire website to lots of different resources, videos, guides for you to learn how to use Canva. We didn't do lots of exploring of the editor today, so this would be an area where you could go and learn about that. There is also a teacher community, which is on Facebook, and there is so many tips and tricks that are shared here, and there's lots of questions asked, and everyone dives in and answers them. Bronwyn and Joe, I can see they're in that community as well, so definitely join it if you haven't already. And if you are a big Canva user, you listed number 5 right at the beginning of the webinar, and you'd like to become a Canvassator yourself, their applications are open at the moment. So again, scan this code or click on the link. And I feel like I'm just giving you so many things. The last one is our back to school homepage, which is where lots of these things are also shared. And this is being shared in the link as well. And last but not least, follow us on Twitter or X, Instagram, Facebook, whatever everything's called these days, and make sure that you tag us when you do share things because we'd love to see it. And it also gives us lots of inspiration as well. We really appreciate you all joining us. We hope that it was an inspiring session and your brain is buzzing with all the different ways you could use Canva, not just by yourself, but also getting your students to use it. And we really hope that we achieved that today. And we look forward to seeing you all in the Facebook community and hopefully in other webinars. And thanks again, Joe and Bron.